Hi, guys, and thanks so much for joining us here on the Men's Movement, where I'm going to be telling you 10 things I've learned whilst training over thousands of clients. I've been doing this for 4 decades, and there's some fantastic things I've learned along the way. Many clients have helped me to learn this stuff or relearn this stuff. I went to college, I learned this stuff, and then I've relearned it over 4 decades of training thousands of clients. And we're up to number 9 today, and this is a really important one because I give talks to companies on this. I give talks to schools on this, and it's about how to build a healthy human. And I'm going to teach you some interesting ways where you can become healthier, stronger, and we'll get straight to it because I don't want to mess about with. It's not about me and what I've done. I want to get to what you can learn to make your goals quicker. So as always, I've got my little letters down here. Let's go for them. So we've got some letters up here, and one of the things that's pretty upsetting with all of this is we get really upset with because I'm seeing it all the time with posture. I'm seeing a lot of people coming in with bad posture, and that happens because of what happens in our society. Many of my clients, there isn't one client who hasn't gone to school from the age of about 5 or 6. They go to school from the age of about 5 and 6, and at school they get told to sit down. They get told to sit down and listen, and I'll tell you when you can go out and play, and I'll tell you when you can move, and I'll tell you when you can eat. And that's what happens for, 10 years, 12 years? We go to school for 12 years, we get to about 18, and along the way, we've become this sort of beast which is rolled forward. We've got our phone in our hands, we're leaning forward like this, and we've created this posture. And not only is the posture bad in multiple things, not just for the top of the body, but it's bad for our stomach, it's bad for our psoas, because a lot of kids, when they run around at lunchtime when they're allowed to run, they come in after lunch and they're really tight through the psoas. That's the muscle deep in the front of the leg, between the stomach and the top of the leg there. It's the iliopsoas there. It's often referred to as the psoas, starting with a silent P. Now, the psoas muscle gets really tight because the kids want to stretch out. They want to stretch back and stretch out their legs, but they can't because they're told to sit up straight. And luckily for some of us, including me, I'm not as tall as others, so our knees touch the top of on the underside of the desk, and the kids get really tight through the psoas. Teenagers specifically, or in particular, gets tight through the psoas because they're longer legs. They get taller as they age through school, and they're sitting up and they want to stretch out their legs and lean back, and they won't because they're not allowed to. And that's what happens at school. We get told to sit still, sit like this, get into our work, and we're tight to the midsection. So sadly, what I've seen when clients come and see me, when they come and see me when they're 30, 40, 50, they've done 12 years of school, maybe 4 or 5 years of uni, maybe. They've got home after work, whether they're out in the field working or not, and they get this phone on the way home and they're looking at this phone. They get home and they look at the phone, and they get to bed and they look at the phone and the computers, and they're deep inside their computers. Did you know that Steve Jobs, on a side note, he trademarked a schematic diagram of a human being holding a phone? That's how he saw society in future. He saw society of a human being. That's my chalkboard thing. That's my duster to rub out stuff. But he saw the human being holding something in their hand, leaning forward like that. And sadly, he's become right. I've done say it's almost up yours, Steve Jobs, for what you've created. It's not his fault, because we are the owners of our. I've said in other videos, we are the master of what we do. We're not the slave. The brain is a fantastic master, but it's also an awful slave. And if you don't control it, it will control you. So sadly, this phone is starting to control us. It's controlling our posture. And then you get to a trainer, and what does he do? The trainer says, okay, well, what do you do when you get fit? You say, right, I'm going to do push-ups. And off you go doing push-ups, making this tighter and tighter. And then, if you're not into doing weight training with lots of push-ups and bench press, you might say, hey, I'll take up an activity called jogging, and you'll run as fast as you could. And you've probably got some partners out there who've had some babies, and what do when you have a baby? You push the pram, and then you nurture and you give the baby more and more. So you're on your phone, you're doing this, you've had years of training this, and then you're pushing the pram and then it's getting tight here, but you say, hey, I'll go bike riding. That'd be good for me. You lean forward in the bike and you lean into the legs, and the legs are tight in the in the psoas, tight here. And they come into me, they come into a trainer, and I see it all the time. They walk in and their posture, and I'd love to erupt this and change all this happening. I'd like to get rid of this and disrupt it. Let's disrupt it and erupt this. Let's change this. Because all this work that you've done over the years has caused this bad posture. All this work has caused this bad posture. Let's change this. We've got to stand up straight. We're going to give you some stretches. So I'll give you some stretches that are fantastic for this. There's a couple of great stretches. Standing against the wall with the hands up like this. You'll see it. I'll insert the pictures now. For the psoas, I'll give you a stretch for stretching out the psoas because you're tight there. I see it all the time. Clients come into me and they're tight through your psoas, and they're tight through the chest, and they're tight through the bicep. And it's so bad for you, all these exercises you've been doing. So we're going to make you, or activities you've been doing. So we have to start doing the exercises to help with this. So we're going to stretch out the chest. I'm going to stretch out your psoas. That's probably one of the two best exercises you can give. But you're going to keep working. Yes, it'd be lovely if you could do what I've done all my life and worked with as a phys ed teacher and a personal trainer. I've never sat. This is the most I've sat at my desk. If you look over here, where is it? This is me sitting at the desk. This is possibly. Hey, you're going back there. This is me sitting at the desk here. It's probably the biggest time I've sat at a desk. I sit here for maybe an hour, 2 hours and make these. If I sit here for too long, I get sore through the shoulder, and I get sore through the psoas. And then the psoas transfers to the knee, and it happens pretty quick. It's like if you put that saying, you put a boiling frog. If you put a frog into boiling water, it jumps out straight away. If you put a frog in water and put it slowly on the boil, B-O-I-L, I can't say the word boil, I'm sorry. If you put it in the water and slowly turn up the heat, slowly, it will die in the water. It will die in the water. If you throw it into boiling water, it'll jump out. So I get a chance to jump in like this. I get a chance to jump in, and I jump out as quick as I can out of this environment, this computer. But I can. I'm lucky. I can. So what can you do? Because you're going to go back to work tomorrow. You're possibly at work now watching this video, and good on you. May as well get paid while you're watching this video. But we've got to give you some examples of how to fix this. And we've got stand-up desks, which are awesome. I was speaking about this I think 20 years ago, I spoke at a company about stand-up desks. Because stand-up desks, we've got the stretching. But there's other ways to sit at the desk. There's 4 ways to sit at the desk. There's standing, there's sitting, there's kneeling, and there's one of my favorite ways that you'll see in a picture I'm going to insert over here. And that's possibly the best way to sit at your desk. Have some fun with it. Sit back and enjoy. So this is what I wanted to tell you today, guys. I want you to get out there and play, because when you were 5, you were playing, and then they told you to sit down. I'll tell you to play. And if I can impart that to any client who walks in the gym, I say to them, you've got to get back to playing, because you've really got to work on this, guys. But there's the you know how I love these words. This is what we were working on today, guys. We're working on your work and hopefully fixing your posture, because it's going to happen, guys. You're going to go back to work, so we've got to get back to play. The old play. There's so much fun when you play. We don't want to get upset by this. We can find upset in here. We can find all sorts of different words here, because it upsets you. It makes you, angry. But we want to get back to playing, guys. And the more you can play, the better it is. And the more you can get away from your desk, the better it is. And the more we can get away from the work, the better it is. But we know you have to work. So 4 ways to sit at the desk. Do your stretches, 4 ways to sit at the desk, and keep on moving, keep on playing. I've seen it so many times. Over 4 decades, I've seen people come into the gym and they're curled forward, they're tied here. I had a gentleman I trained this morning, and he can't even do one of the stretches. He can't even do 6 lunges. He's in pain after doing 2 lunges, and he's got massive pain through his knee. And it's because it's not that he's not stretching, it's just because of the work he's done. So the work he's done has created this posture. It can upset you as much as you want. You can sit there whining about it, or you can acknowledge it and make the difference. You can go into a trainer and get stretched if you want, or you can do the stretches yourself. Either way, start playing, start moving, start enjoying. This is number 9 of 10 things I've learned whilst training over 40 years of training people. 4 decades I've been training people. It's so long I can't even count anymore. But keep on moving, keep on playing, and thanks so much for joining us on The Movement. We'll look forward to seeing you, less of you next time. Take care. Cheers.
You've been listening to The Men's Movement. Look forward to seeing less of you next time.